Welcome into another edition of Prep Picks. Heather Williams alongside Steve Wilmoth of ESPN Tri-Cities, TriCitiesSports.com. And oh no, there is a new sheriff in town. It only took to week 5, but here you are in first place.
It won't be long. I won't stay there long. I never do.
Virginia High let me down. It's all right, though. I still believe in you. Let's go right to this week's picks. And a big one for Region 1 6A as Dobyns-Bennett takes on Westridge.
Now let's just jump right in.
I mean,
why wait, right?
Why?
Biggest game of the week. Westridge looking for that first win over Dobyns-Bennett in their 5-year history. You look at the game with Dobyns-Bennett and Gate City, a lot of people are going to draw some parallels between this game with Westridge and that game with Gate City, in which Dobyns-Bennett struggled to stop the run. This Westridge team averaged 366 yards on the ground, 8 yards per carry. Now, they do it a little differently. Gate City was that power T formation, true option for Westridge, but what will Dobyns-Bennett do to counter? They countered against Gate City with that 6-man defensive front, 10 men in the box. Gate City on one drive kind of blinked a little bit and tried to put the football in the air, got away from what they were doing. Westridge will not do that. They fell behind 14-0 early against Elizabethton, never wavered. They still only have one more complete pass on the year than they do wins. So they're going to run the football. There's no doubt about that. But there's a stigma with Sullivan County schools and Dobyns-Bennett. Okay, you've seen it. You've been here long enough to see it. My first Sullivan County game versus Dobyns-Bennett was 50 years ago this year. Okay, I've seen a lot of these games, and that spear on the helmet does something to people. And until Westridge and other Sullivan County schools in the past could not get past that, Westridge needs to do that in order to win this football game. You can't be focused on that DB. You've got to play your game. Westridge will try to do that. I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a good football game, but I think DB still has just a little bit more right now. I'll stick with the Tribe.
I do agree with you, the fact that I do think that Westridge's running game is going to give Dobyns-Bennett fits. I just think that you have to really beat Dobyns-Bennett, because this is kind of what Gate City ran into. You have to be more than one-dimensional, because they are going to get enough stops of that run game to keep it close. And just because I don't know, I was really wrong a lot last week, so take this with a grain of salt. But I don't feel like if they needed to make a big pass to win the game, that Westridge could do that, and it might come down to that in this game. And so for that reason, I'm going to take Dobyns-Bennett. But I agree with you. I think it's going to be really close this time. I think this might be the best game that these two teams have played in the existence of Westridge, which isn't very long, but still, I think it'll be a great game. Another fun rivalry, cross-state rivalry, as Abingdon takes on Tennessee High this week. Abingdon is reeling a little bit right now. What do you see in this game?
Yeah, Abingdon, I don't know whether last week was a result of the Gate City game a couple of weeks ago, but really struggled defensively, allowing 360 yards passing and 5 touchdowns to Richlands. Now, Tennessee I comes in. They've discovered the forward pass with quarterback Jake Richardson, can still run the football. We talk a lot about the Tennessee High offense, but what about that defense last week against those playmakers from Virginia High? We thought Tennessee High would score some points on the Bearcats, but we also thought the Bearcats would put some points on the board with the Vikings. They really held Deion Graham in check. Cadence Laws only had 11 carries for -2 yards. I just think Tennessee High's defense is the difference in this one. I think the Vikings win a 3rd straight game.
I guess I should start by apologizing to Tennessee High, right? I was unfamiliar with your game. I think that their record, and I think we talked about this a little bit, their record early on was more of a product of just how difficult their schedule was, as opposed to what Tennessee High was. Now that they're playing more teams that are a little bit like more in their quote unquote league, or that they're the bigger team, they are now exerting their authority. And so, yeah, I'm not going to, fool me once, shame on me, or shame on you, fool me once, twice, shame on me. Yeah, if I'm not picking Tennessee High, shame on me. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Vikings in this one as well. Our Friday Night Rivals game this week takes us to Elizabethton. Hampton, sort of, but they're playing their games at Elizabethton at Happy Valley High School this year for a great matchup in Region 1A between North Greene and Hampton.
And neither one of these teams has lost to a 1A school this year. North Greene 3-2 has also beaten 2A school in West Greene. Meanwhile, Hampton at only one loss, 4-1. Their only loss came to Happy Valley. They've also beaten 3A Johnson County. You look at this region, this is for the region championship. I know we're only in week 6, still late September, but at the end of the year, this is going to be for the region championship. And probably the runner-up in this game will be have a home playoff game as well. So I think both of these teams are going to look forward to having great seasons after this one. I just like Hampton at home this year.
Right.
With what they've been doing running the football. North Greene's going to put up a fight, but I just got to go with Hampton right now. They just have a little bit more, I believe.
I love what's going on in Balenton. That team has made themselves consistently a player in Region 1-1A. They were the champions of the region last year. The drop down to Class 1A has been good for Hampton. It's really probably where they belong. They're not a big school,
Right.
and they did really well when they competed in Class 2A. But I think Region or Class 1A is really where they belong. And I agree with you. I think that they have found. I think last year a lot of people thought, well, is this the end of Happy Valley? Has the rain ended? But I think that they were a victim of everything going around them. I mean, it was a tough year for them with Helene and losing their field and all that kind of stuff. They're in a rhythm now. They're back to being Hampton, and that's a scary, scary thing when they are Hampton. I'm gonna take the Bulldogs in this one as well. Throwing this one in here because I just love what Gate City's doing, and it's another opportunity for them to try to knock off a big dog in the state of Tennessee, Gate City versus Crockett.
And really, last week's game notwithstanding, when Crockett had to go play the defending state
Right.
champions. I mean, I appreciate what Crockett is doing as well, based on that first loss to start the season, the way they've turned things around, found some things on offense. Quarterback AJ Wynn is back healthy. Sam Casey at running back, linebacker, also wide receiver Jackson Overstreet can stretch the field. So I like what Crockett is doing. They swept the Morristown schools. I don't know if they've ever done that before, but yeah, I go back to Gate City and what I saw with my own eyes a few weeks ago, and I've kind of been riding the Blue Devils ever since. So there's no reason to stop now. Crockett is a bigger school, Class 5A school in the state of Tennessee, but I think Gate City, especially at home over there on Legion Field, I doubt Crockett has ever been there before, so I'll take the Blue Devils at home.
I'm always fascinated when teams cross over state lines because almost all of the Tennessee schools are much bigger than the Virginia schools. So it's really hard to try to know what you're going to get in a game like this. I love Crockett when they're healthy. I think AJ Wynn is just such a fun player to watch. But I just don't know if they see anything like the running attack that Gate City has. I think that now they won't catch them off guard like they did Dobyns-Bennett. I think that really caught Dobyns-Bennett off guard. But I'm going to go back to what I said about Tennessee High. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm going to ride on the Gate City train until someone can prove me wrong. I love this next matchup because Chilhowie at Northwood, huge rivalry, very close together. And Northwood is having an unbelievable start to the year, maybe one of the best that I can ever remember.
Well, first 3-0 start since 2014. Now, the last two games came against competition that's 1-7. I understand that, but they're still 3-0. Meanwhile, Chilhowie had to go up against that East Side team last week. Chilhowie came in averaging or only allowing one touchdown in its first set of games. East Side rang up 444 points. Northwood has had some success offensively, but they're not East Side. Okay. So I think Chilhowie will bounce back defensively, play another great game. They're putting up some points as well. I'd feel a lot more comfortable with this game if it was in Chilhowie. I'm still taking the Warriors on the road, but I would like them even stronger if they were at home.
I'm going to say what I said about Virginia High and Tennessee High last week. If Northwood's going to get Chilhowie, this is the year. You mentioned their competition's not that great, but let's be honest. In recent memory, Northwood hasn't been that great. So wins are wins, and to be 3-0 is really impressive for the team from Saltville. I mean, you have to play the games that are in front of you. That's all you can do. I think that this is going to be as close a game as we've seen. Again, if they're ever going to get them, I think this has to be the time to do it. Chilhowie, though, I think their loss to East Side notwithstanding, they're going to be a real player in Region 1D. I'm taking Chilhowie, but I think this is going to be an incredible game. The atmosphere in Saltville is going to be electric. Final game, Holston versus Hurley. And I put this one on the schedule because I have to ask the question, what's wrong with Holston?
Well, they've been scoring some points. Well, they've scored some points, but they've also been allowing a lot of points. Over 300 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, I think, last week to Honaker. Meanwhile, Hurley, after their opening win, they're giving up point-wise 47, 42, and 48. 48 last week to a Tri-Cities Christian team playing its first 11-person game of the season.
Right.
So their defense has been a little bit suspect, but they've scored some points, which tells me this game is going to have some points scored. I think Holston will score a lot of points. I think Hurley, not as many, but they'll certainly put some points on the board. So I like Holston in a shootout. Should be a fun game.
I was really surprised. I was at that Hurley game this week, and I was really surprised how competitive Tri-Cities Christian was. And I don't know if it's an indictment against Hurley or a statement about how good Tri-Cities Christian is. They've been really competitive in 8-man, but as you said, they don't really play a lot of 11-man football. So I think this is a get better game for Holston. I think they do get the win, but you're right. They've got to figure something out on defense, or it's going to be, I mean, we've talked about Region 1D and how stacked it is with Rycove and Eastside and Chilhowie, and now Northwood's a little bit of a player. Thomas Walker's a pretty good football team. You start looking, Twin Springs is a good football team. You start looking at that and you're like, oh, there's playoff danger if you don't figure some things out. So, but I do think they do it this week. I will take Holston as well. All right. Anything from the week you want to clean up? Notes you want to talk about?
I maybe don't have quite the promos to cut that I did last week, but something I think we got to give a shout out to Happy Valley with what they did with Unicoi County last week. We both missed that game.
Yes.
You look at Happy Valley's schedule, no disrespect, but they're likely going to be unbeaten going into week 11 to play at South Greene on that Thursday night for the Region 1 2A title. So congratulations to them. We talked about Tennessee I. You look at their schedule now. Hard part of the schedule, you mentioned it, kind of behind them. They're going to be favored in every game the rest of the season, I believe, except for Sevier County. So they're going to end up having a fine season as well. You mentioned Tri-City Christian. They've been playing some 8-man football with a 13-person roster. Okay, so Coach Robbie Norris has to go recruit the hallways at school to get enough players to play against Hurley, and then this week against Twin Valley. One of those that he decided to recruit was my wife's nephew. And so when Robbie Norris comes and asks you for help, you can't turn down Robbie Norris. You can't. So Tucker Henry comes out and plays his first ever high school football game as a senior and leads the Eagles in tackles. So shout out to Tucker. Now, Tucker will tell me that most of those tackles were made well downfield. Okay. That doesn't matter, Tucker. Okay. Keep the stat. Tackles, period. That's all the stat we need to know. Providence Academy this week. First ever home and region TLSAA contest. But it's Middle Tennessee Christian coming all the way from Murfreesboro. How can that be in a region?
I mean,
you know,
the Division II regions make no sense to me.
I don't understand.
I mean,
so anyway, shout out to Providence Academy. Good luck this week. It's kind of my takeaways.
All right. So my thing that I want to talk about former Powell Valley coach Phil Robinson, who passed away over the weekend. I had the opportunity on many occasions to talk to him at UVA-Wise. Incredible coach. What he did at Powell Valley, I don't know that there are many coaches that will ever be able to replicate the kind of success, but great person, like always willing to answer a question, always willing to help someone out if they need it. And that is a huge loss for the Wise County community. So wanted to talk about that because we haven't had a chance to on TV just because of schedules and stuff, but I couldn't let the week go without paying homage to him because incredible life lived for sure.
Yes, well played.
All right. So if you want to learn more about high school sports, and I mean all high school sports, make sure to check out his website, tricitysports.com. And join me Friday, 11:15 for all your scores and highlights for the week on Friday Night Huddle.